Yeah. Two whiteboards right beside me. Ring light right here. 32-inch screen here. 28-inch screen here. Laptop here.
Nice. No, I've got my ring light over there. I've got a little desk light over here. Computer. I have ePot cam, so it connects my webcam or my phone cam as a webcam, and then I've got this little T9 mic that I ended up getting on Amazon. So yeah, it's a jigsaw of everything.
I have a mic, but I don't ever plug it in. I just leave it here so it looks like I'm talking into it because I have to use actual headphones to plug in. I don't know why it does not let me hear and use this. So
I had to play around with it because I did the same thing with AirPods. It allows me, I'm hearing you on my AirPods now, but I also then have this set up. It's a whole mess, but yeah. Oh, yeah. So, but everybody, welcome. A little bit of a hot start, but everybody, this is the third expert talk that we have done in this series for the 21-day challenge, the End of Summer Shred. Tonight we're very lucky to have on Tyler Newton, and he's a friend of mine that is in the same boardroom group that I have mentioned before, comes from the same group that Kelsey is in from last week, and wanted to bring him on tonight and just to be able to talk because we both deal with strength, with nutrition clients, and to be able to pick his brain a little bit about what he has seen, what he does with his clients, and the successes that he has had to get them there. So Tyler, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good, brother. How about you?
Not too bad. Tyler, first thing I want to ask, and just so everybody kind of gets an idea of who we're talking to, but who are you? I mean, what do you do?
the man behind the name?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach. And I guess if you want me to go into kind of how I got here, pretty much, I was 10 years old and long story short, watched my dad pass away from a heart attack right at my feet. And so pretty much from that point on, I just knew I always wanted to be pretty much a coach of some sort. I thought during high school I was going to be a football coach and make it to the NFL as a football coach because I was too short to play in the NFL. So, hey, I'll make a great coach, right? Yeah. And then it changed into, after high school, I got into trying to pick up girls by coaching them in the weight room, right? So, young and dumb and always in love with everybody. And then after that, I kind of was working a series of jobs that I really didn't like. And in the back of my mind, I was always working out and wanted to really just help people because the job that I had was not very fulfilling. So insert 4 years ago, taking the leap, kind of getting certified and leaving my corporate job. And it's been 4 years of coaching and kind of changing lives, I'd say. So
yeah,
that's the shortest version I can give you. Oh man, what wasn't I doing?
What were you doing? Yeah.
So I was a caddy at a golf course for a really long time, which everybody thinks walking 8 miles a day and carrying golf clubs is actually really good for you. But it was actually like one of the worst jobs for you and your health, to be honest. And then after that, I went and started working at Verizon as a salesman in the store. I was the guy that you bitched at when your phone wouldn't work, and I'd be like, ma'am, you got to unlock your phone. Like, I don't know your passcode. So I was that guy for a while. And, that was actually a good job. I didn't mind it. It was fun to kind of help people because in a sense, when older people came in, it was nice to help them and be kind to them because you also have, on the other hand, a lot of people that I worked with that really had a short fuse with older people. And for me, I'm always here to help people. No matter what I was ever doing, I was always trying to help people. And, they offered me a management role, but then at the same time, the local fitness director at my gym came up to me and was like, you would make a great coach. Like, you're always in here trying to help everybody like that's doing something wrong. Have you ever thought about it? I was like, yeah, it's always crossed my mind, but I didn't go to school for it. She's like, luckily technology these days, you can kind of get certified on your own, buy the textbooks, study, and then go take the test. And so that's what we did. So I actually didn't take the manager job, decided to become a personal trainer, and we're here now. So
nice. What and I just kind of want to go back. What you say the caddying job isn't the best for you. What exactly why isn't the best for you? Like you sound active, you sound like you're what'd you run into health wise, the negative effects?
I think it's pretty much what we run into with every other job and every other American struggles with, really, in any profession, and that is, uh, you don't have the foods in front of you to eat for the amount of production that you're putting out. So,
Mm,
I still caddy sometimes at that golf course. It's a very prestigious golf course, and I do enjoy going out there
mhm,
from time to time. And nowadays, though, what I wasn't doing at that time when I was actually a lot heavier and not as in shape, was grabbing the snacks that they had at our halfway house.
mm.
And a lot of that was very highly processed food. So think to yourself like kind bars, potato chips, hot dogs, potato salad.
My
You could
favorite.
have a turkey and cheese sandwich or a ham and cheese sandwich, but it's very deli meat, very processed,
Hmm.
not the best quality. Or you'd be living off of protein bars. And so what you really actually saw, believe it or not, was a lot of guys under eating and not
Hmm.
getting very nutrient dense foods while being out there. And then on the flip side, they'd get done, they'd be starving. So they'd go to the bar, they'd have a couple drinks, spend half their money that they just made, and eat like shit. And I, at least when I would go, would eat a salad, but really and truly, I wasn't getting enough protein in to put up with the amount of miles that I was putting in. Right.
Yeah.
So even though like I was still somewhat of the healthier guys out there, I was still gaining weight and I couldn't really pick up on why. And I finally decided to get like a Whoop band and the whole 9 yards. Start trying to track that kind of stuff. Well, I was burning like 4,000 calories a day, right? Sleeping like crap because I actually had a second job at the time. I was also a bartender. And so I was
Great for
working myself
sleep.
to the, yeah. Well, and that's the other thing. You know how many hours a night I was sleeping on the weekends? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Oh,
I was
that's rough.
sleeping in my car, leaving the bar, going home. I would take a shower, I would change clothes, drive to the golf course, sleep in my car. Because I was a workaholic. I
Oh
was
man.
21, 22. I'd never seen so much money in my life. So guess
Uh-huh.
what I was doing? I was chasing the money. I'd never had money like that. I didn't come from the family that, had money to give. I mean, we were
Hmm.
fine, but at the same time, it wasn't
You
plentiful.
hustled. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, hey, I was a guy that could make $400 or $500 in the day. So I was just like, hey, I'm young, I'm dumb, I'm gonna keep chasing the money and put my health on the back burner. And a lot of us
Yep.
still do that today. Even a lot of people that I work with now. I mean, I hear this excuse so many times from clients is,
Hmm.
well, I'm just working all day, I never get a break. And I go, well, why can't you give yourself 15 minutes to go eat lunch? Well, I don't have enough time. I'm like, no, you have time, you just don't give yourself time.
Hmm.
See, we're all in control of what we do. The problem is you think your boss actually gives a shit about you, and your boss doesn't. Because I've never seen anybody, very rarely at least, when you tell them you're leaving in 2 weeks, tell you, yeah, finish out your 2 weeks.
Oh
Almost
yeah.
every time I've given them 2 weeks, they're like, you know what, really and truly, like if you don't want to come in, it's fine. Like every time. And I'm like, why do
Every
we even
time.
give 2 weeks? Why do we even
Yeah.
give 2 weeks? Like, if you don't care if I'm here for 2 weeks to give you that grace,
Hmm.
like, really? Do you care about me that much? Like,
Yep.
no, you're not that important. No
Yeah.
offense. You may be important in the day to day, but they'll replace you with a heartbeat,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and
So,
that's a lot of people I think find themselves in that they don't realize how hard they are working for someone that doesn't appreciate the effort that they're giving, and that effort would be better off spent on themselves and maybe taking that 15 minutes just like you said that. And honestly, this can get a little finicky too, because I will say I'm taking 15 minutes and then 5 minutes of it is on my phone. And then another 2 minutes is me dicking around when like making the food or not thinking of what I should put together. And then I'm down from that 15 minutes and I'm sitting at 6 minutes of a 15-minute break where I have to shovel in my face and I don't have enough time to eat because
yeah.
it goes back to dicking around. I mean, it's priorities. It's really sitting down and setting that time aside and specifically eating.
Yeah. I mean, everything, and the older I get, the more I think about this. Everything that we do needs to be intentional.
Mhm.
So when we say we're going to take that 15-minute break and give ourselves a de-stressor, so to speak, because let's be honest, like those of you that are working 9 to 5s and you're grinding at work, you have, let's just say, a managerial role and you have a boss, but you're also a boss of a team. Like you feel like there's just constantly stuff being dumped on your plate, like throughout the day, right? One thing after another. And the worst thing that you can do is to not give yourself a 15 to 20-minute break for nothing else other than to just de-stress for those 20 minutes. Leave your phone on your desk, walk away from it, get outside, get some sunlight. Jesus Christ, like we're all trapped under fluorescent lights nowadays. Like get outside, go for a walk. Like at least give me that if you're going to eat lunch at your desk. Like give me that 15 to 20-minute break so you can just clear your mind and get some sunlight, because most of us are vitamin D deficient, and that's a whole nother topic we can go down. But for the most part, when we talk about overworking ourselves and being overstressed, it's because you actually don't allow yourself to de-stress. And that plays a big role in how we recover, how we sleep, cortisol levels, melatonin levels. Like we start looking at this big circle of like why we're not having success, and it all can be circulated to a few things.
Yeah. And that really hits on a theme that I've been hitting this week with my group and with everybody and clients in general, as to why the scale might be stuck. Why isn't it moving when you're doing all this work? All this effort is going into your nutrition, into your fitness classes, into you're not eating at night. You might have been abstaining from alcohol. What the fuck's going on? Why am I not losing weight? And it's the last thing that people ever think of. And this goes back to week one. Everybody in the group, we had Nick Reel on week one. So it really does come on. Yeah. And he really touched on, if you're under recovering, your body's going to be in a state where it's not going to want to accept a diet. And this is actually something personally I'm running into right now. So I know we've talked in the group and everything, and it almost sounds like you're adding me. I know a lot of people on here don't necessarily know where I'm at, but I do.
I call you out in a heartbeat. You can go ahead and tell them who calls you out. I call you out all the time.
Yeah. And I'm guilty. And it's one of those things that I've fallen into a modality of bodybuilding and a modality of my schedule. And I'm at the extreme of where some people need to be pushed. Some people need to get into the gym. And you know what? If they showed up 6 days a week, holy fuck, we have some success. But that's usually not the case. However, there are people that are like me, and I do have clients like me, and I'm not the only one out there, because I work with athletes, especially ex-athletes, who bury themselves in work, who bury themselves in an activity. And for myself, weightlifting, because it's an escape at the end of the day. It's I call it a hobby. I call it, so, it's for my health and fitness. Everybody should be lifting. Everybody should be doing this. But in my particular case, I'm overdoing it. I'm escaping from things that I don't need to work on, and escaping from the hard work, which is the rest, setting the bedtime, recovering, making sure I'm eating enough, and making sure I'm not burning out to where I'm waking up exhausted and waking up. And even now, I'm pretty run down. Honestly, it's the end of the week. It's Thursday. It's 7:30. We're here having a conversation, and I can't lie. I'm run down. I mean, this is probably more than I ever have been in my adult life at this point, just because what we go back to, I'm under eating. I'm not sleeping enough. So,
yeah, I mean, this is where I get into finally, because I've grinded for a while. Like I know what it's like to hustle, and it's great that I think a lot of people need to hear. You need to have that hustle mentality, but we're not all David Goggins. We're not all Andy Frisella and some of these other big people, Jocko, who are like
M. Kennedy, yeah.
talking about you just gotta hustle, grind. Well, listen, like that's all fine and dandy if you can do that. But what a lot of those guys are doing now is they're not actually having to grind as hard as you think, because they grinded so much that they've gotten to a point where now they actually can put themselves first instead of having to grind to get to where they are. And so, I mean, I think that's the false narrative that a lot of them who are preaching that, except for David Goggins, who I think really is a psycho, but a good psycho, because he owns it, but he owns it, and we'll talk about the fact, like, not everybody's like me, but you still need to do some of the stuff and have the mindset that I have. A lot of us who don't have that same mindset, we can get into the whole, like, what type of neurotyping you're in, but at the same time, we have to understand who we are and be okay with who we are, and make sure that what we're asking of ourselves and our body matches with what we mentally and physically can do. Now, that's
Mhm.
not saying you get to go and eat pizza and dick around and not actually take care of yourself. What it means is if you have a high stress job, if you don't get enough sleep and you don't eat enough protein and enough leafy vegetables and have a good, well balanced diet, okay, well, training 6 days a week for you is probably not the recipe.
Mhm.
It's not. You're just adding more stress to your body. So
Mhm.
maybe if you actually taper down to 3 days a week, have 2 days of just active recovery. Maybe it's yoga, maybe it's hell, maybe it's meditation or just going for a walk outside once again for like 20, 30 minutes. Take your dog with you if you got one.
Mhm.
And that's just it. Like you work out 3 days a week and the rest you're just active. You're doing something
Mhm.
to be physically moving. Well, that's going to work a lot better than you trying to go hammer yourself at the gym every day, adding another physical stressor, a mental stressor of saying you have to get to the gym, and then
Mhm.
seeing that your cortisone production is just flying through the roof and you go home, you're like dead tired, but yet you can't fall asleep. Like, isn't that a
Yep.
problem?
Yep.
Like, we should probably fix that.
Yeah. Well, here's kind of a rebuttal to that, and just playing devil's advocate because I get this a lot. But after I get done with that workout in the morning, Tyler, I feel great. I mean,
Right.
there's no better time than after my workout. I'm ready to start the day. Why is that?
Well, let's just look at the fact that your cortisol levels are at a peak in the morning. Okay.
Mhm.
Like when I wake up in the morning at 4 a.m., like I'm kind of sluggish. But then I always notice like time the sun rises. So right around that 6:45, 7 a.m., all of a sudden it's almost like, man, like I start to get a boost like during the morning right there, right? That's because
Yep.
my cortisol production goes like this throughout the day, right?
Mhm.
Well, then it starts to come like this around 2:30, and my melatonin production should actually start to come up. So, what do you think happens to those of us though that are waking up at 4? We're working at 5 a.m. as coaches, and then we get to that 2 o'clock, all the caffeine's worn off, e- the
Yeah.
stress is getting to us, and we have that lull during the middle of the day. Well, then you sit there, you kind of fight through it, you get another cup of coffee, so then we rise that cortisol level up again, and we
Mhm.
go back down, and all of a sudden, we're just producing more and more cortisol, which is our stressor hormone.
Mhm.
Like it's a fight or flight hormone. And we have to understand that it's a good thing to have early on in the morning, but if it's not down regulating throughout the day, that's a
Yeah.
problem. And that's
Mhm.
going to be why a lot of you struggle to lose weight because
Mhm.
you can't de-stress, you can't detach from your day. You're bringing your work home. You're bringing, everything that's dumped on your plate and never giving yourself time to relax. Like I'm taking the afternoon off tomorrow to go play golf because I need it. Like I need a break, right? Like
Yep.
I work hard. Meanwhile, you're gonna go and you're gonna work all day. You're gonna stress out about all the things you need to get done. You're gonna go hammer yourself for 45 minutes and work out. And then you're gonna come back home after you get done with work and you're gonna still have a million things you want to do. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go play golf, relax, and then wake up on Saturday and be like, oh, I can knock out 3 hours of productive work.
Mhm.
Saturday morning, watch college football the rest of the day, and be more productive probably than you because I'm not filling my plate and not then refilling my cup.
Yeah.
Like you can't keep pouring from that empty cup.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I mean, that really hits on the head. You've got to have that time to recuperate and if you're not able to recover yourself, you're going to be giving less of yourself the next day. And that's not
Yeah.
fair to anybody that you're coming in contact with. I mean, you should be able to give your full attention, your full energy and effort to whatever you're trying to place into and getting that
I,
rest. And yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I personally think a 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 work week is
Hmm.
actually worse for us than if we were to work 4 days a week
Really?
and work 8 to 2 or 3.
Hmm. That's
I think you
honestly
would
my
get
schedule
more
right now.
done. I think you'd get more done because then people could start to prioritize their health and fitness with those extra
Hmm.
hours, just like we give kids a recess, right? Like,
Hmm.
why do you get to go to school? You're in school this almost the same amount of time as your parents are at work, but you
Yep.
get a recess to go play around and release all that energy and release endorphins and like we do that as kids and we wonder why we were so fit and active as kids and then we become adults and we have to go sit at a computer screen and a desk all day and then not move
Yep.
throughout the entire day. Well, don't you think if you'd get up at lunchtime and do a little something for 10 to 15 minutes that you'd probably get a boost of energy and then be more productive later on in your day? I'm not saying a full workout. Go for
Yeah.
a walk. Do some push-ups. Do some
Yeah.
sit-ups.
Do you meditate? Do you do that? Like anything for mindfulness specifically like that?
I every morning when I drive to work, I drive without music, without connection. So early in the morning, like as I'm getting ready for my day, like that's my 30-minute drive to work is more so my meditation.
I've been
So
noticing that my drive as well is just being overwhelmed, getting off of calls, coaching all day. I get in the car and I just leave the music off and drive. It's the one
yeah,
time that there's just wind in my ears and I don't have to talk or interact.
yeah. Well, you have to think about it when you're in a job, and most of us now are in a very communicative job where we are constantly talking, constantly writing emails. The brain is constantly on. And by the way,
Emotionally
guys, like
taxing.
yeah, and by the way, guys, like your brain is what's burning most of these calories. This is why you're tired, like and mentally fatigued. Like your brain is what drives everything. So if your brain is not clear and your brain does not have room to think, you're going to sit there and struggle in this fitness journey. Like you need to take time to clear your head, to put the phone away, to really actually just be there where your feet are. I can't remember where I read that quote, but I read that the other day, and I was like, damn, I was like, that's so good. Like be present where your feet are, and stay there with nothing else in front of you. And I just think that's really powerful because I don't think like think to yourself the last time you just sat there with nothing in front of you other than just being where you are with your feet, like no electronics, no phone, um, no stimulants.
Yeah. Yeah. I
For a
mean,
lot of
it's been a while. I mean, honestly, I've been focusing more on that myself, but I know for a lot of people that's not the case. There's a phone in your hand, there's an Apple Watch on your wrist, there's a computer in front of your eyes, there's a TV on in the background, there's some noise or stimulus always going on.
Yep.
And
Yeah. And that's why I actually prefer people to have a Whoop band or an Aura ring over an Apple Watch. Like I love my Apple products. Don't get me wrong. I got iPhone, iPad,
yeah,
MacBook, like whole 9 yards. Beats, AirPods, like all of it.
yeah,
My biggest thing is like, why do I need something on my wrist that I already have in my hand 24/7?
yeah.
Right? Like you're just never getting away from it. Like we are literally being trained to be stimulated, and that's actually hurting us more than it's helping us. So
hmm
if we could take away some of those stimulants, we would be a lot better off.
hmm
Because that one thing that's on your wrist or in your hand is the constant stimulant that is probably stressing you out more than you realize.
Yeah. No, I think I'd agree with that. And having this Whoop, and even I have a Whoop too, and I've had it for about over a year and a half now. But you can become a slave to that as well, because I've noticed that on days that I'm recovered but feel like shit, I will push it because it's in the green and I have to mentally. I see it. I'm like, I've got to go. I've got to hit that recovery. I've got to hit that strain goal. And then on days that I am under recovered, I will look at it and be like, fuck does that now? I'm not a pussy. I'm gonna go work out. And then I'll push through that. So it can become a mental game, I have found, for someone in my case, like that plays that mental
Yeah.
game that goes to the extreme. So it's not always, again, the best. I mean, it really depends on who the individual is too.
Sounds like you need a coach.
Oh wow, I think I have. Yeah. I think Jason would yell at me, honestly. That's one of those things. I've got a coach, I think. He yells at me all the time saying I need to take a break. So
Yeah. I mean, you really do. And this isn't
Mhm.
just for you. I mean, I know we're talking because it's just me and you here, but I mean, this just plays true in so many scenarios in everybody's life. Like
Of
if you
course.
go through and start to find why most people struggle, they always have an excuse of like too much on their plate.
Mhm.
So we have to actually learn how to adapt to everything that's being thrown at us and understand like there's only so many hours in a day, and
Mhm.
you got to have that cutoff. Like you
Yeah.
got to have that cutoff period of when you're going to say, "Hey, I'm shutting it down." Like no more, and enough was enough.
Yeah.
And if you don't get it done, just push it to the next day. Unless it's like a hard deadline for your job or something. Like the world's not burning. Like,
Yep.
you don't have to get it done today. You can push it off. Because most people, I hope, would understand that, like, hey, you know what? Just time got away from me. It was a very busy day. I didn't quite get time to get to it. First thing tomorrow, though, I'll have an answer for you. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many times I've done that where a client has sent me something at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I'm like, I don't have the mental capacity to deal with this right now. Like, if I give you an answer, it's going to be a half-ass answer. So
It's not gonna
why
be good.
not? Yeah. So do you want my best self or do you want me at 50%?
Yeah.
I would think most of my clients would want me at 100% to give them a real thoughtful answer rather than to come at them with just like a 50% answer.
Yeah. Honestly, some of the posts that I've had on Instagram and Facebook and the ones that blow up, it's one of the best deterrents to actually not get on, because I have OCD. I see the number of notifications and I can click in the app and I'm like, I got to get rid of that notification mark. I can't have that red dot up in the corner. So I've turned off all the notifications on my home screen, luckily, and I'll avoid
Yep.
going to the app because I'm like, I know that post is going to do well. I don't want to interact with anybody. I don't want to get on and have to go like people's shit. I don't want to comment back and say that's awesome or thank you or give you a heart. It's even that sometimes can drain me at the end of the day, just to interact. Because
Yeah.
I don't, yeah. And do you get like
Well,
that? I mean, is that something that you deal with a lot with just your clients as far as like the emotional drainage that you run into?
I think early on I did. I feel like now being more seasoned, and even when I say
Mm,
4 years, that doesn't feel like very long, but it also feels like a long time.
mhm.
Um, you probably know what that feeling is like, where it's like, you still feel new, but yet you're very experienced and like you know what you're talking about. Um, but early on, I would say I was a lot more emotionally drained from always being also emotionally available.
Mhm.
And lately, what I've really learned in this last year is it's okay if I don't reply. Like it's okay to like not have to answer them right now. And I am very OCD in the sense of if I accidentally read something and I think you've probably seen the fact that I've read it but haven't replied, like I
Yeah.
get really OCD about then having to reply.
Yeah.
So I did figure out on Facebook a little trick where I can actually hit like unread.
Can
So
you
I've been
really?
doing yeah, I've been doing that lately so my OCD can calm down a little bit. But, for me, it's one of those things where I was very much like you. Like I had to turn off all my notifications. Like my WhatsApp
Mhm.
notifications are off, my Instagram notifications are off, my Facebook notifications are off. So when I
Yeah.
go in there, that means I'm ready to be present and like either commenting back, posting in there,
Mhm.
going and replying to messages. Like it's an intentional time that I know whenever I do go in there, I'm there in the moment because I'm ready to be there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll be on there all day and then I won't be over here programming, or I won't be replying to a check-in, or I won't be helping fix a client because I'm too busy getting caught up in Facebook land or Instagram,
Mhm.
or even TikTok. I mean, hell, TikTok's a rabbit hole. Like it's 30 seconds to a minute. You swiping, like they get you.
Yeah.
So it's about understanding your time and being able to say, I need to take time away or like be all in during that time. And that's with anything you do. So when I go into Facebook, it's like a time block, like, hey, I got 15 minutes, I'm taking a break. I'm okay with now going in though and replying to comments or replying to people on this app because this is going to be like my 15-minute break. Even though it's not really a break, to me, it's a break from looking at this screen
Yeah.
and having to program, right?
Yeah.
So it's a break from doing that because, you'll sit there and program or you'll be looking at how to reply to a client's check in, and you just kind of get a little bit bogged down like mentally from that aspect. So the
Mhm.
break sometimes from that is okay, well, let me shift to a different item that I know I need to get done today. And I'm going to be all in on this. And there's a timer, it's 15 minutes. And then,
Yeah.
okay, I'm back to programming because I have ADHD. Like I can get very off track very easily. And I can
Yeah.
go down some really weird rabbit holes that most people are like, okay, can we get back to the original question? So one way to fix that for anybody that might be ADHD is to set a timer for 45 minutes and you work hard for those 45 minutes on your one task that you know might take a while. After that timer goes off, you get to take a 15-minute break and do something else. Get up, go for a walk. If you want to get on your phone, you can get on your phone, but you give yourself a break from that one initial task. And then when you come back, you pick up either on the same task you were working on or a different task that you know needs to get done next. But it's 45 minutes at a time.
Yeah. No, that's not a bad idea, because I get into a lot of broken loops myself, or open loops, I should say. I'll start something, then I'll go start something else, then I'll go start something else. Like, meal prep. I'll start making a sandwich, and then someone will text me, and then when I'm on my phone, I'll go to Facebook to reply to a comment, but my sandwich is still there. But fuck, my cat's litter box. Well, I can clean that quickly, and then I got to wash my hands, and then I got to go back, and I got another text now. Okay, sandwich is still there, and now I ended up under eating because I'm not eating the fucking sandwich. So, yeah, I get that, man. That's not a bad idea. I might have to start doing that myself, with just setting the timer aspect of my phone and then putting it over in the corner and waiting for it to go off. And if it hasn't gone off, that's me being impatient. That's me not waiting for it.
Yeah. Or you just get really efficient at finishing things faster because you're trying to beat the clock, and then you're like, oh shit, I got more time. I can knock this out. Right. Like,
yeah, that's where I'm at now. How fast can I work, and what else can I get done?
yeah, but at the same time, like I said, the world's not burning. It's not going anywhere. We're going to be here hopefully tomorrow. I mean, for the most part, we expect to be here tomorrow, unless some unforeseen circumstance happens.
You said the world's not burning, but I know a lot of people that could argue you, and it's at least there's a F tornado.
Let's not talk about like the core of
the real
Earth
world
here. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, on the surface, like, unless you live in California, the world's not burning up in one piece. Okay.
Yep.
Like, life is good for a lot of us. Okay. And so we have to understand that our world is not crashing down. So we don't have to feel we have to keep going so hard, because eventually you're going to get tired of what you were passionate about. And like I said, most of us go into jobs for one of two reasons. We're really passionate about what we do, or we just need a paycheck and our parents pushed us to go do this, right? Like, and what's the quickest way for most of us to start regretting going into our job and waking up with a purpose? Well, it's usually the fact that we start to overwork ourselves, and then we get tired of that, and then you decide, man, I'm going to go try this. Well, then you go try that, and the same thing happens. You're like, shit, I'm going all in, I'm working super hard, but really and truly, like, I'm doing the same shit that I was doing at my previous job.
Yeah.
And so what we're not learning is how to actually pull back and be there for ourselves. Like, we'll be there for everybody else in the world except ourselves first. And a lot of people feel selfish when they put themselves first, but it's not selfish if you put yourself first in order to be better at taking care of the other people.
Yeah.
Like, you have to do that.
Yeah.
Like today, like I had to put my work on the side to be there for somebody in my life. Like, did I have a ton of other things on my head that I thought I was going to get done today? Yes. But guess what? I'm going to wake up early tomorrow. I'm going to get them done, because it was more important for me to be where I needed to be at that time for that person.
Yeah.
So once again, when an emergency comes up, you're not going to, like, if you had a significant other right now who literally got a phone call, they're in the hospital, are you going to care about your job right now?
No, we'd probably end this call and I'm dropping everything and going there. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So if you're able to literally drop everything right now for something else that is life-threatening, why can't you drop it right now, even when there isn't something life-threatening?
That's a good question. It's a good way to frame that. I like that.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, and if anybody else that's on the call wants to answer, like, and give me a rebuttal, like, I'll be happy to play this game. But at the end of the day, like, there's always something that is more important.
Yep. No, I think that's something we can leave off on, because that's exactly what it is. And that's what I've been finding in the past couple weeks myself, is that no matter what you get done tonight and what you finish during the day, no matter how successful you are, you're going to get to that point where you wake up in the morning and there's still that to-do list. the to-do list doesn't get shorter just because you finished what you needed to the night before. You're always going to be able to add to that, especially with us owning and being entrepreneurs and having our own business. There's always going to be something. And even the things that you finish just get put onto the next side of the list that goes to review, revise, make better. It's not done. It's going to be reviewed later to make better, is what I have found. So I think that's something that everybody needs, is just to be able to put their work down, have a time off. And honestly, it's probably a good out for me because, like I said, I got to get up at 4 a.m. So I better take what we've been preaching about and actually utilize it. So
yeah, you got to go make that sandwich and eat.
That's what I'm having. I'm having a hamburger. I'm excited. But Tyler, I appreciate you being able to come on. I appreciate your time and coming on here, sharing your knowledge with us. I think this has been very helpful for everybody that is on the call, but also for the future, because I'm going to be posting this on YouTube for people to look into. And this has been very useful as far as understanding the importance of recovery, understanding the importance of taking your time off. And yeah, thank you very much. And I wanted to ask before we get off of here, your handle, anything that you want to leave us off with?
Yeah. You can find me on Facebook, guys. Just Tyler Newton. You'll see a guy with a beard smiling in the gym. And then on Instagram, my Instagram handle is new10. That's NEW10_fitness. Come follow me, drop a like if you like what I have to say. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, awesome. No, I'm going to have your handles and everything linked on the YouTube video so people can find you. And awesome. I thank you for your time, Tyler.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
All right.